Zuhdi Jasser is with me. Zuhdi, forgive me if I introduce you as a moderate Muslim, but I think that's the best catch-all expression I can find. I hope you don't mind if I say that.
No, not at all.
What would you like to hear from Donald Trump this morning, bearing in mind that horrendous terror attack on the priest in France yesterday and no mention of terror after 2 days of the Democrat convention? What do you want from Donald Trump right now?
Well, I think we need adult leadership, that obviously we are at war, that until we begin to change the mantra from this countering violent extremism to countering violent Islamism, I'd like to hear him say, you know, it is unconscionable that this gentleman, that this radical Islamist that slaughtered this poor priest in a Catholic church, had a bracelet, had an electronic bracelet, tried to go to Syria twice using ID of a cousin and of a brother, that he was just sort of put on house arrest. It is unconscionable. I mean, imagine in World War II that somebody who was going to go fight with the Nazis, we just sort of put in house arrest and didn't identify that this is a gentleman who's going to fight war against our country. So I think he needs to lead Europe, provide leadership that Obama has not been providing, and show what really the adults in a global war would do.
Let me ask you about Europe in particular. It seems like there are 3 phases to what's going on with Europe and the migrants coming in. Phase 1, open door, welcome, come on in, we like you. Phase 2, we can't cope, hold on, no more. I think, Zuhdi, and I want your opinion, are we about to go into phase 3 where Europe starts to say, go home?
And this phase 3 is going to be extraordinarily difficult beyond simply the social conflict and unrest, but violence, because it's sort of like a sonic boom. You have the generational problem, which is the primary issue, Stuart, which is related to the incompatibility of the ideas that they're bringing of political and Sharia-based Islam into the Western culture of secularism, freedom, equality of men and women, etc. And now that's happening fast forward over weeks process and months rather than years and generations. So now you see the violence that ISIS wants to sow, that they try to get, even if it's 1 out of 10,000, they're going to have many of their militants among these millions that have come into Europe, let alone the conflict of immigration where they have nowhere to come and they're going to say, go back. And ISIS wants them to go back because they want these Sunnis to fight the war against Assad, against Iran, and against the radicals there of the government, which is invoking a genocide within Syria. So it's sort of a win-win for ISIS, regardless of what happens. Europe is losing its identity, and they have to, I mean, Brexit is one of the solutions because it was founding itself back in UK nationalism, and that's the only solution, is for Brits, French, Belgians to begin to get back to their nationalism and embrace those Muslims that relish that nationalism and push away the Islamist nationalism.
Extraordinary. Who would have thought that we would come to this? Zuhdi, thank you very much indeed. We have a speech, and he's going to go off prompter, I believe, and answer some questions. I want to bring in Zuhdi Jasser back again. And again, let me reintroduce you, Zuhdi, as a fine, upstanding American moderate Muslim. I want to know how you feel, and people like you. How do you feel when you hear news of that dreadful, awful terror attack on the priest in France yesterday and the attack on the pedestrians in Nice 2 weeks ago? How does it make you feel?
Well, I can't tell you how angry, how horrified, and it tells me that we need to marshal every resource we have to stand up for our homeland, to defend our country, to defend it against this theocratic ideology. It is time for Muslims to join our Muslim reform movement and recognize it's not just about violence, it's not just psychiatric illness, it is a theological ideology that is rooted in the 12th, 13th century, that hasn't modernized, hasn't gone through a separation of mosque and state. And it is important for our, you know, what's the legacy? My biggest fear is the legacy I'm going to leave for my young children. And you see, the attackers are getting younger and younger. I mean, what is the legacy for our kids? Is it that they're going to become barbarians attacking our innocent people in the West, viewing them as not human? Or are we going to stand up for our faith, stand up for our country, and defeat this militancy? I mean, to hear Hillary, to hear President Clinton say that Hillary descended where she would go, it would become peaceful. I mean, this is nonsense. They're not identifying the enemy, and Muslims can't have a role in this, Stuart, unless they begin to identify political Islam as the enemy, as the root cause. We can't have a seat at the table unless they recognize it. And I look upon it as a bigotry of low expectations. She did not descend. I mean, the reason ISIS is destroying Europe now and under siege is because Syria was left. Her ambassador Ford did not even solve the problem. He is going around the country saying that it was a failure, their policy in Syria. And this is, we're reaping now what she sowed in Syria. So to hear President Clinton say where she descended was solved is complete deception. And Libya is another example. I mean, we want to engage Muslims in the solution. We have not been engaged.
Zuhdi Jasser, hold on for a second.